Man, let me tell you, welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, it is July. What is this, the 11th or something like that? I pulled this one off this morning. I got a guy. I mean, let me give people an indication right now of what kind of guy I have on their screen. Before we even logged in, I literally got down and did 10 push-ups. I got down on the floor in my living room and I did 10 push-ups because of the guy I have on the screen right now. This dude right here, I had to just bring it. I had to bring my best, man. I had to get my poop in the group, man. I mean, we're talking to guys here. And so, I mean, I got this guy. I got this guy right here on the screen. My man, the myth, the legend, the one, Mr. Doug Osness. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Fabulous.
Hey, I need to make it clear.
You want me to take a minute? I got to do 20, I think, in order.
No, man.
I got to get down to 20.
No way. I got to do 10 push-ups just to catch up with you, man. Just to be where you are when you wake up, when you roll out of bed, man. That's just what it just is. What it is, man. If you do another 20, then I'm that far behind.
All right. Let
me first of all publicly thank you because I can say that for my first book, I'm not even sure it would be published right now if it weren't for you.
Wow.
Well, you know that. I've told you that. I mean, I was stuck in a rut on how in the world I was going to get my book published. I was stuck trying to figure out how that was going to happen until I came across a conversation with this guy that changed the game in terms of how to get my book published. And shortly there, I mean, within months after that conversation, my book was live, man. And within a couple months after that, I had almost 300 people in a room full of, exotic cars doing my book launch, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Even on the stage there, man. That was fantastic, man. That was fantastic. Mr. Doug Osness, man, can you, I mean, I'm your hype man, but I can't explain who you are better than you, man. So, I mean, who are you, man? What do you do, man?
Wow. Well, yeah. Well, I just got a payday by hearing that from you. So
boom.
It fits right into, it's a good way to start the morning. Well, I do a lot of stuff, and I guess my simplest way to answer that is I just recently refined my big why statement down to 3 clear words. And so I'd say everything I do is about it either fits this or it doesn't. And there's a lot of stuff that fits it. So I do a lot of things, but it's inspiring radical transformation. Wow. And that was a little bit of, what you and I got to do. And every time we get together and have lunch or whatever, it's about being radical and transforming something. So, that was a payday for me because I got to inspire radical transformation because your book is radical and it's transformative, and it was for you, and your story is. And now that's launched into the world. And so it's fun to get to be a part of that. Yeah. So I like to, it fits in there. I run a business. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a granddad. That's probably the best thing. Got 11 and the 12th one on the way. Grandkids. So that's fantastic. So that's kind of a good summary. Also, I do coaching and mentoring and public speaking. Do some city transformation work. You and I have talked about that. You've been in some of those meetings. We work with transformourworld.org. All of those things either got to be about my why, or I just at a stage of life that I don't do it.
Wow.
That's minor.
Wow. And then, like I held up here, man, I got a stack of books with your name on it, man. And by the way, you signed this first one for me. So you're a published author. Look at that picture right there, man. Look at that guy, man. Look at that, man. A studly looking dude, man. Man, you do a lot of stuff, man. I mean, golly. And then do you also, I mean, do you help people? I mean, professionally, do you help people with real estate?
Yes. Yeah. I've got matter of fact, we formed our own brokerage. We got a partner, business partners. We formed our own brokerage in November. So that's, as I love a famous guy that I know says, my Clark Kent job and then my Superman job. My Clark Kent day job is, I'm the managing broker for Transformation Realty. And we help people transform their their lives, the environment they live in, obviously their house. Also work a lot with investors. So one of our goals, our tagline is transforming lives, communities, and the world by doing good. And we want to encourage people, whether it's with their money or their time or their big why, to be doing good in the world and making a difference, being transformative.
Wow, man, that's a lot of stuff, man. Now I'm just tapping, I'm going deeper and deeper. And then, I mean, you lead guys. What do you do with guys?
Oh man, that's I guess that's my Superman job. Although it's not a job, it's a vocation and passion. 12 years ago, my business partner Tom sent me on a transformational journey, I guess you would say. I was going through some life challenges, was facing can't remember exactly when he and I encountered, I was having some challenges in marriage, and that unfortunately eventually led to divorce. So even more need for the transformational process that I went through. I went on the Mankind Project Warrior Weekend Retreat, joined a support group, I guess you would call it iGroup, out of that, which is part of their format. Similar group is Mark Men for Christ, which you're familiar with. And for most of the last 12 years, I've been doing that every Monday night, and restarted a group about 4 years ago that we've got 9-10 guys that are in now. There's been guys in and out of that. But it's a real transformative journey of deep inner healing. And then how do you integrate those changes? How do you continue to grow and develop and develop your identity and in our case, your masculinity as a man?
Wow. And there's a reason why I keep digging and digging and digging into who you are, man. And
there's a reason for everything you do.
Well, I'm leading up to where we're actually going with this conversation. But one more thing that I want to pull out, and this is not the first time that you and I have been heard audibly on the digital platform, because you also have a podcast.
Yep.
I mean, what's the name of the podcast?
We just switched the name, so it's World Transformer now, obviously, all about inspiring radical transformation. So yeah, you can check that out on Twitter, Instagram, iTunes. We just switched the name. It was Highlands Ranch Lone Tree Advice Givers. It's related to, comes out of our business, our real estate business, but we interview business owners, business people, nonprofit people, but people who are using their lives to bring good to the world. And we talk about how their business ties into that, and then talk about their life journey. So it's pretty cool. One of our best received podcasts happened to be with this man on the screen with me. So we did 2 sessions because there was so much to get in about your life that we had to do 2 sessions.
Yeah, we have a way of just talking that, I mean, as you can tell, I mean, we're already 10 minutes in and I haven't even gotten to anything that I'm planning on truly digging into. We have a way of just doing that.
Man, we have to fly here.
I'm telling you, not. But the reason I wanted to dig into all of that is because your moniker, I mean, the S on your chest is you are the big why guy. And obviously that big why, I mean, it is boiled down to you being an example of how to live with purpose, how to live with a why. And that's how one of the main ways that you inspire me personally, man to man, friend to friend, brother to brother, mentor to mentee, is that you inspire me to live with a why, with a purpose, and to have multiple things going on that feed into that. And so can you unpack really, I mean, just, briefly kind of the whole notion of you being the big why guy and what that means in terms of you inspiring other people to live their why?
Whew, man, we have to just keep flying here, don't we? Boy, it grew up, I've always had a bent, which I didn't even fully understand, and even young in life, around purpose. When Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life came out, I just was, attracted to that and the concept. The company that I was working with in real estate at the time, Gary Keller, wrote a book entitled The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it amazed me. He started by talking in there about the most important thing for building a successful business, life, realty, is to get a big why, and then be working towards giving that, serving in it, living it. And eventually, I mean, the goal within the company was build a real estate business that you can make income from, but it really allows you to live out your big why. So that really got refined and retooled and all kinds of stuff over my life. Went through a divorce I didn't want. Went through, my real estate business failing during the recession. Went through, a really challenging time with the birth of my first grandson. And that really got me clear. I was leading what you would call a challenged life in many ways. And that little guy was born. His name's Braden. He's 12 years old now. And he'd been the product of a teen pregnancy. I just had this epiphany one day as my daughter was taking care of him on the floor, and he was a tiny little guy. And I, realized I'm not sure how I remember thinking to myself, I'm not sure his dad's going to be involved in his life long term. And if he is, I wouldn't be too excited about it. That's kind of the life situation for that young man. And I thought, man, if this kid's got a shot at having a successful life, he's going to need a positive male role model. And there's really only one guy to volunteer, and that's going to have to be me. So that led me to, I had lost my career because of that divorce as a pastor. So I'd lost my, identity somewhat, and was researching, trying to rediscover that. And then I realized, I got to get clear on a new big why in life. And that changed everything. It was a long journey. It wasn't instantaneous, but by getting clear on that at that time, I started to dig deeper in my own personal development, started to get clearer, get healed, get wiser about my identity. And some of the result of that was it caused me to have a different mindset, which was the huge shift. And in the midst of the recession, which is when all this was happening, as a result, instead of my business failing, I began to double my income yearly for the next 3 years. Then the fourth year didn't double, but set new sales records. So it was a really tangible way to see the power of what a big why can drive you to do.
Wow. Now I notice you keep saying big, 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 big. Are you indicating? Are you implying that our why should not be small?
Yes. Yes. That's one of the things I do in the seminar when I'm working individually with people, is that, man, if you need to, anybody listen to this, if you want to go out and get the Marianne Williamson poem, I guess it's called, but it talks about our playing small doesn't serve anybody.
Right.
So,
I have that. I'm off the screen. I have that right here, right next to me, that whole thing, man. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not within some of us, it's within all of us. When we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I mean, I have exactly what you're talking about right here next to me. So that is very visible in my space, in my world, man.
Yep. That's why you and I hang out together.
That wasn't even planned, dude. That wasn't even, we're not even gifted enough to plan that, man. That literally just happened on the spot. And so,
Kirk, I had recently something that takes that to even another level. Part of the issue here we're talking about, is it important for a guy to have a big why? Yes, it is, because part of the, most of us as men, not all of us, but are wired with a real masculine core, and the masculine essence, if you want to call it that, is wired for a purpose, for a mission. That's what we're about. So everybody, if you're really going to tap into that and get that, it's going to be about having a purpose. Yes, it's absolutely essential. This was really driven home for me recently. A guy I do work with, partner with, and he's still my life coach. I'm still getting coached nowadays. He had a guy call him from Texas, and he said, "Hey, you don't know me. He said, but I've been coaching with Warren Buffett for the last year or so. And Buffett, I guess, only takes on 12 people to coach. So this was a heavy hitter dude. And he said, Warren Buffett just fired me. And he said, I've heard you can help me. He said, Buffett told me this. He said, if you don't get clear on your big why, and he didn't use big why, if you don't get clear on your purpose in life in 3 words or less, I can't help you any further. And so Mike was able to work with him, help him get clear on that. And he went back, he called him later and he said, guess what? Buffett took me back on. So really clear that we have to get clear. So a big why, yes, is absolutely critical. Whatever it is, especially if you're wanting to break through stuff. So you got to get clear on your big why. And then the second thing is you got to be willing to courageously look at what's in the way of you achieving that why. Those are kind of 2 of the critical factors, and your defaults come into that second category.
So then what does having a bigger why, I mean, where does that take you, having a big why? I mean, what's the journey look like when you have a big why, a purpose in life?
Well, it changes everything, because all of a sudden you have a reason for being here on this planet, which I think is God-given to all of us from the time we're born. And we all have it. We all have a why. It's usually buried under your deepest pain, which we try to avoid. So we, self-medicate, we do whatever. So it keeps us from getting to that purpose. But I just summarized this recently, and I sent you a copy of it yesterday. I thought just, kind of, if you're going to take it down to a nutshell, it's this: why, why, question mark. Well, it's because a big why produces big goals, and big goals produce big drive, and big drive produces big results. Why not? Question mark.
Wow. And so that being the case, though, what happens when a guy lives without a why?
Oh, wow. Whew. Man, then you're just wandering. There's no, what why does for you is it produces purpose and, again, drive. Mike just asked me to repeat that. So I'll repeat that phrase here first. So I see that on screen. Why, why, question mark. Because a big why produces big goals. Big goals produce a big drive. A big drive produces big results. So why not? So if you want to get that.
That's dope, man. That, for the record, that's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, for the record, man, that's off the chain, man. For the record, that's profound. And I know the guy that asked that, and I guarantee you he's writing that down right now.
Good.
He and I do a Free Indeed podcast, and I bet you he's going to be bringing that up.
Well, awesome. Well, the critical factor is what I discovered was in my business, which is, real estate, you got a lot of cold calling you got to do, depending on how you build your business or why you're building your business. The most helpful element of having a big why, which kind of answers the other part of your question, is what I discovered was without a big why, I'm not able to drive through obstacles and push further, because life happens. So no matter what you do, something's going to show up eventually. It's going to challenge us, hit us, cripple us, whatever it is. So how do you get up and keep going and driving through those obstacles? The only thing I found, all success, I think, starts with a clear, compelling big why, is you got to have a big goal on the end that says, you know what? I got to get back on the phone. I got to push through this. I got to get to another spot. I got to overcome the divorce I'm going through. I got to overcome teen challenges. I got to whatever, because I'm here to accomplish that big why. And a big why, if you put it in 2 elements, I've talked a lot about this. It's something you're deeply passionate about, a problem in the world to solve, and then that's coupled with a skill set that you have. So my passion is transformation and radical transformation, to see individuals and eventually the world transformed. My skill set is inspiration, and by inspiring other people. So you put those together, that's your big why. One time, Mike, my life coach, said to me, well, how many of those elements do you want to have in a day? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, let's quantify it. How many times do you want to be inspiring somebody else to radical transformation? I said, I don't know, 3. He goes, okay. At the end of the day, you can look back and go, did you do it? So no matter what else happened, you had a great day. because you were living your why on purpose.
Wow. You know, and that, man, for you to say that, that's I've discovered as well in my life that when you are living on purpose, in purpose, for purpose, with purpose, when you lay your head down at the end of the day,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's easy to quantify, it's easy to measure whether or not you are a quote unquote success or failure in that, did I live out my purpose today? And if you lived your purpose today, then regardless of what that voice or that whatever might tell you, it's like, no, man, I lived my purpose today. And you know, this webinar being a prime example. I mean, it's something that, you know, it's 30 minutes early in the morning kind of thing, but man, when I'm done for the rest of the day, I'm like, dude, I lived my purpose today. And so that can't be understated at all. It just in terms of being able to lay your head down and know that you were a success that day if you lived your purpose, man, that is fantastic.
Yeah, and you could even, you're right on, and you could even look at it as a critical thing that a lot of people miss, and I do still on occasion, is your gift to the world, which is your big why, first starts by giving your gift to yourself. So give your gift to yourself. Well, I'm going to impact the world. Your big why is about other people, but it's for your benefit. So so that jazzes you up, that fills your cup. So give yourself your big why. So I'm, constantly got to pay attention to inspiring radical transformation in myself. And then you give it to others, usually starts with your family, but there's other people in the world who need your gift as well. So, but don't miss that you give it to yourself, because it does then inspire you, it motivates you, it drives you through obstacles and challenges, addictions, whatever it is, because you've got something you were put here to accomplish. And the thing you want to avoid is at the end of life, go, oh my gosh, I didn't give my purpose. I didn't fulfill what I was here for. So get clear on it now and start living today.
You know, man, Ray, you just gave me chills right there, because one of my biggest fears is on my last day of living on this earth is asking, did I live out my purpose, man? Did I do my assignment while I was here, man? That is one of my biggest fears, and that drives me in terms of, I don't want to leave this earth with my mission not accomplished, in terms of why I was put on this earth, man. So that actually touches me pretty deep. And just what you said as far as giving your purpose to yourself, man, I almost wonder, I got a picture in my head of pouring into me so much in terms of purpose that it overflows, and people around me just get the overflow of what was poured into me.
Yeah.
And that's the picture I got.
Yeah, well, there's a great, if people want to be inspired, go and listen to the Pam Rose song. I believe the title of that song is My Life, but it's a great song about sitting in a rocking chair at the end of her life. And one of the phrases is, I want to leave with a smile on my face. And that's what living your purpose does, is puts a smile on your face on a daily basis. When I'm having a bad day, or I had one day somebody said to me, hey, you're kind of down and out lately. You haven't been with people, have you? No, I haven't been living my why and my inspiration. It's all, about people in the process. Now, one of the key things, once you get clear on a big why, a real challenge to the whole process is looking at what's in the way of achieving your big why. I just had some of this conversation with my 12-year-old grandson last week, day before 4th of July, and I had to put it in terms he could grab a hold of. But not only do you need a big goal, that means you're also going to then have to sacrifice some things in order to hit that goal. But one of the challenges, what's blocking me from living a bigger life? And in a nutshell, there's 3 defaults that all of us have, but we lead with one of them in particular, and it's what's in the way. For a long time, and most guys, I think this is huge around, the freedom fighting you're talking about getting people free in their minds and getting free of their addictions, is you got one of 3 defaults, and it constantly trips you up in relationships and life unless you figure it out. And it's all of us are either not good enough, we're unlovable, or we're unworthy in our minds because of what's happened to us in life. So you get clear about which one of those you lead with, and then you got to start working on what's in the way. So you get a purpose to drive you forward, and you get clear about what your shadow side is, and then you can start moving forward in powerful, dramatic ways. But your why is going to be, the why for me was a thing that went, okay, I keep running into snags in life. I got to get awake and aware. I got to figure out exactly what's at the core, and I got to overcome it. I gotta push through it to new places in order to achieve that big. But that's the motivator. That's the inspiration. The why.
Yeah. And it sounds like those three things that you say get in the way. It sounds like those three things exist right here. Those three things. It sounds like those three things exist right between the ears in terms of my identity and how I see myself. Because at the core of each one of those three, or at the, you know, in terms of those three thoughts or beliefs or statements or whatever you want to call it, is I am. And you know, I am is a divine. It's a God concept. And so, you know, to me that sounds like an identity issue of all those things that get in the way.
Exactly. You know, I used to, and I don't use it as much lately, but because sometimes it can be misconstrued. But since we're talking to guys here, I used to use this phrase. I would say, you are 6 inches from massive success in life, and it's the 6 inches between your ears.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what you're talking. It's this is the critical factor. How do I change this? Well, the biggest thing, I got to have a motivator to change this. That's my big why. And once I get clear about that, then I got to get clear about what my issues are. But I got to put this to work for me. And mindset is, you know, anybody will tell you, you know, Buffett or Napoleon Hill or Simon Sinek or whatever, they'll talk about this is where it either, if I think I can or think I can't, Henry Ford said, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to start here. And you got to get a picture of a bigger future that can drive you to get clear in your head.
Wow. So it's not, so then, I mean, again, to me that I think in pictures. And so I picture that as like, man, my success, my failure, my identity, my why, my purpose, all of those, you know, just like slavery and freedom begin in the mind.
Yep.
All that stuff. I mean, in terms of my, you know, my identity, like when I tell guys, man, you know, that freedom mentality is just that. It's a mentality. It's an identity. And it's the same thing like a slave mentality or slave identity. If you believe you're a slave, you're going to act like a slave and you're going to be a slave. But otherwise, if you believe you're free and know your identity is free, then you're going to act like you're free and you're going to live that freedom.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's a perfect example. And an even clearer element that we all can kind of relate to is it's a poverty issue. Poverty is a mindset issue.
Mm.
You know? And you can blame society, you can blame whatever, but there's a lot of different ways for poverty to occur. The Transform Our World organization that we work with says there's material poverty, yes, but there's motivational poverty, there's relational poverty, and there's spiritual poverty. And all of that starts in our mind. And a lot of times if we're in a victim stuck place, which Big Y can drive you out of, then we're blaming outside forces and the world. No, it's me. And the good news is all I got to do is work on changing me. Get a big why, get clear about what's in the way, and start to move forward. I don't have to clear anybody else's crap up or remove that. It's all in my control. And bad news is, it's all about me. I'm the common denominator.
Right. And that's the thing, man. And I even look back, you say that common denominator, man. I look back at all of my failed relationships. I look back at my failed marriages. I look back at my lost career. I look back at all that kind of stuff. And I can say the common denominator in all of that was me.
Amen.
The common denominator was this guy right here. And so it's one of those things when you get into that space and when you fix that up, when you clean that up, when you work on that, then the outward manifestation of all that just kind of it flows. It just happens. It happens going forward in your life. You just begin to see that kind of stuff. But man, just it happens up here. So do you think our purpose begins up there too?
Yeah, I think our purpose, you know, for me, it begins being a man of faith. It begins with God. He kind of plants that in us. He gives us he knows the future. So even before we got on this planet, he knew what we were going to face, what we were going to encounter. So he says, okay, I'm going to create them in such a way, create that individual. I'm going to create Doug. I'm going to create Kirk in such a way that he's got a mission in the world. He's got a problem to solve, and I'm going to birth that in him because of what he's going to face and be challenged with in life. So
wow, man. I you know what? I actually knew you were going to go there, so I kind of set you up with something. I knew you were going to spin it and go in another direction, man. Because that's just what we do, man. So we're winding down here, man. What's that?
Oh, right there.
That's what you call an alley-oop.
Yeah, that's right.
I threw it near the rim, and you grabbed it out of the air and slammed it home, man. But yeah, that purpose coming from a a God place, man, and us living that thing out, man. As we wind down, Doug, man, there's no other way to say it, man, but I love you, man. I mean, you know that, man. Every time we get together, there's tears involved most of the time because we just end up going deep, man. And
tears and hugs. Yeah,
I appreciate you, man. You're a guy's guy, man. Before we completely wind down here, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, that's good. Big Y guy, not big white guy. I'm a pretty big guy. BigYGuy.com is website. Doug at BigYGuy.com. My wife and I do coaching, mentoring, speaking, help people get free, like you talk about. Also do new thing we're working towards is I'm helping to develop and mentor millionaires. So you can do it, and starts with getting a big why to drive you towards that thing first. Nice,
I appreciate it. And what part of town are you in? I mean, obviously, you're, for anybody that's out of the area, you're in the Denver area. But what general part of town do you?
Yeah, we live in Southwest Littleton. Most of our real estate business we do in the South Metro, area. But we've done that all over the place. So but that's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm available to talk anytime. My cell phone's 303-960-6784. Every Monday night, we got a men's group going. Any guys that are interested in that? It's a commitment every week, 7 to 9 o'clock. Serious work, deep work.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. I actually had a little quote here that I was gonna go to, but this conversation has kind of changed my direction a little bit. And I just want to leave anybody watching, specifically any guys watching, with a thought. And the thought is, you are not an accident.
Amen.
That the odds of you being alive right now are slim and none. I mean, the day you were conceived, that moment, there was 10 million other sperm looking for that same egg. And not only did you find it, but you had the tenacity to break into it and to claim it. And so that, I think Harvard says, like, the odds of being born are like 1 in, some ridiculous number, 100 trillion or 40 trillion or something like that. So the odds of you being alive are slim and none, but the fact that you are here means that you are not an accident. And the fact that you are not an accident means that you have a purpose, that you were created with a purpose and for a purpose. And so it's up to us to live that purpose. Now, we can't let our pain pause our purpose. Ooh, there you go. Ooh. And so, boom, that just happened. We can't let our pain pause our purpose. So us as men, we got to live with purpose, man. We got to lead this thing with purpose and get past that pain. Are you writing that down?
I'm writing that down.
I don't know where that came from. I think I just said, don't let your pain pause your purpose.
Can't let your pain pause your purpose.
That's good stuff, man. And so I just want to leave that with some guys here, man, that, live with purpose, man, live with passion, get out there and actually make some stuff happen. You can't do purpose wrong. You can't do purpose wrong. Just chase it, and it is there. And your gifts will come to the surface when you do that. Yeah. Doug, man, I love you, man, and you know that. And there's not too many people like you in my life, man. I appreciate you, and man, we will absolutely be in touch, man. I appreciate you, man.
Okay, my friend. Bless you.
Love you. Take care, man. Love you.
See ya.